Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Corona Geek, here where we talk all about mobile app development using Corona SDK. I'm your host, Charles McKeever, and I'm joined today by Dr. Brian Burton.
Hello.
Brian's an author down in Abilene, Texas, or he's a professor down in Abilene, Texas, and author of several books on Corona SDK, and he also teaches mobile app development to a whole new generation of students down there. So hello, Brian. Also joining us is Ed Marina, the owner of Roaming Gamer LLC, where he develops libraries, templates, and other products for use with Corona SDK. Hey, Ed.
Hey, Charles.
Also joining us is Richard Harris, longtime Corona developer and brand new editor of App Developer Magazine. Hey, Richard.
That's right. Hi, Charles.
And over here in the corner, shaving his face with a hopefully non-bladed razor, is Christopher Spence. But I don't have a bio for Christopher, but I do know he's a Corona developer, so thanks for joining the hangout with us today, Christopher. We don't really have any audio or video on Christopher, so he's just going to lurk in the shadows, and that's cool. We encourage lurking whenever possible. All right, let's get into our agenda, go through some of our notes and stuff here, and then we'll get into some of the Geek Speak portion of our show. And just so you guys all know, I kind of want to keep things brief because I'd like to do a little bit of a roundtable and talk about what everybody's working on today. So if I get to yapping on too long, just remind me of that, will you? All right, so
We'll just give a signal.
Yeah, you give me the signal. What's the where are we going to do the signal? The caca, caca.
You, sir, have been watching too many children's shows.
I have. I've got it down, man. I've seen that in several different cartoons, so I think it's a thing. It's a meme now. Last week we had caca. Last week we had a good staff conversation with Walter. I don't know if you had a chance to see that, but he talked about the future of mobile graphics, and it's kind of a precursor to this whole graphics 2.0 that's coming for Corona, where we're going to introduce a lot more 2.5D functionality and stuff like that. So that was a good conversation. If you haven't had a chance to go check that out, go back to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/CoronaGeek. It's posted there, and of course you can also find it on the Corona Labs website as well on the blog. But that was a good conversation. Now, this week we're going to be talking again with Walter, and he actually has a demo of some things that are being implemented in 2.5D. He's going to show us that and have a little bit more to say on the future of mobile graphics and what's coming and things like that. So look forward to that this week as well. Now, I don't know if did you guys watch the Glitch Games activity that happened this weekend, the Gig Jam stuff? Did you have a chance to see that?
From the inside. Yeah. You mean the Twitter feed and whatnot?
Yeah. I watched a lot of stuff on Twitter. I saw some YouTube videos posted, and there's a lot of great stuff went on this last weekend with Gig Jam. I know, Brian, I think you were traveling to San Francisco, right? So you couldn't.
Yes.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was actually at the Corona offices there for a little while, and then flying back and forth between Texas and San Francisco, so I didn't get to participate.
Yeah. And Ed, I think you had another event you were actually judging. Is that correct?
That's correct. I was judging at the OGPC, which is it's a little bit hard to describe, but just think of it as a statewide game jam for kids here in Oregon, moving up to the national level after this.
Oh, very cool. How many people were there?
50, I believe it was 50 teams, a split between middle school and high school teams, mostly high school.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you tell them that they should all use Corona?
Actually, I wasn't really supposed to do that kind of thing, although I did give a few kids. I tried to. How do I answer that question? I was there judging design elements, and I was giving the kids hints on different tools to use. So I did make that suggestion a few times. But these kids are mostly developing for the PC.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
Not a lot of overlap right now.
Yeah, exactly. Not a lot of overlap. That's a good point.
There were a couple teams that were doing mobile stuff, though, so I talked to them.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Well, that sounds like it was a lot of fun. Working with kids is a great thing. Well, the The Gig Jam. If you guys monitored the Twitter feed and YouTube and all the stuff like that went on, there was the last count that I got, there was 35 teams and 50 people registered and participated in the event. So, which I think is awesome. And thanks to Glitch Games for putting that together. And basically, they took the lead on the whole thing. They came up with the idea. They put it together. They went and went around, got sponsorship from all the different sponsors. They're organizing, bringing everything together and getting the apps to the judges. So I mean, a lot of effort on their part. So thanks to Glitch Games for that. So if you want to check out their website, go to glitchgames.co.uk, and then up at the top you can click on Gig Jam, and you can see some of the videos, some of the screenshots, and all the rules and everything that went on for that Gig Jam. Now, as part of that, precursor to that, Ed, I think you done a games in 7 days project, right, or a challenge.
Yeah, exercise, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so it turned out to be 6 games.
Yeah.
So did you want to ask a specific question, or did you just want me to elaborate on that?
Well, elaborate on it a little bit, and then tell us about the auction piece of it, because I was really interested in the fact that you published the game and then you also auctioned off the code.
Right. So, well, originally the idea is I needed to get a warm-up. I'll try to talk with my eyes open here. To warm up for the Gig Jam, because I knew it was going to be difficult. It always is. It seems simple to do some kind of game in 48 hours, but as many of us probably encountered, you spend about half your time just trying to figure out how to get that theme to work out for you. It's not so much about the mechanics, but getting that theme interwoven instead of just pasted on. So knowing that it was going to be difficult, I decided to do a warm-up exercise, which was to make 7 games in 7 days. I made 6, and that's pretty much all there is to it. I mean, the way I approached it is select a mechanic, do a little bit of work on the mechanic, make an editor, and then I built up every game after that on the prior game, but changed the mechanic.
Okay, I got
you. As far as providing the code or auctioning it off, what I decided to do, originally I was thinking about trying to turn them into templates, but I decided that instead it'd be better just to move on to my next project and give the code away for free or let people pay what they wanted to, which they can do through Gumroad.
I'd never heard of Gumroad before. That was a pretty interesting experience.
That's interesting, actually. I've heard several people say that they'd never heard of it. There's Gumroad and Selfie, and those are the 2 that I know, but there's like 3 or 4 services you can use as an indie to post your code and sell it for variable prices.
So what is it just for posting code, just for selling code, auctioning off, or is it just like digital goods in general?
Gumroad is for digital goods in general, and I believe they have the ability to hook that up with physical goods too.
Oh, okay.
So a little bit unclear on that.
So in your case, what you did, you could people could basically they could get the code for free, but if they wanted to, they could pay for it. Is that what you're saying?
Right. The one thing I like about Gumroad is they offer a plus pricing plan, which is you can set a price for your product, whatever it may be, $0, $10, $100, and then you can add a plus pricing option, which is it lets people pay more if they feel it's worth more. And so in my case, I 0+'d it, which means you can get it for free, or if you feel like it's worth a few bucks, you can give me a few bucks for my effort.
Right. Well, now I really like that idea, and I don't know how much marketing have you done with that? How much experimentation have you done with this? Was that the first time?
I've been using it for about 3 months now for my templates, maybe more. I lose track here, and I have done a little bit of market experimentation on like the pricing, the plus pricing, but honestly, I found that as soon as you put the price down to $0, that's what you get. So you have to set a lower threshold if you want people to give you any money at all, and I think it's a natural tendency. A lot of the people who are using Corona are younger folks who don't have a large budget, and so I'm pretty sure that they're saying, hey, this is a good deal, I can't afford to give you anything, or I don't have a credit card, and that's that. They get it for free, and I never hear from them again. So
okay, so maybe set a minimum price and then go from there. Let them pay if they feel like they should pay more.
One thing on that, Gumroad doesn't currently support PayPal, which is strange because they pay you via PayPal, but they don't have it as a purchasing option. Which, if they did, I'd like to see sort of a hybrid between Selfie and Gumroad, where Selfie lets people pay via PayPal, and they have an option where people can forward a link to your game or your product, and you can give them a discount for that. So if they tweet it or if they do other social media aspects or methods, you can give them a way to get a discount.
Now, see, I actually like those types of mechanisms where it's a low level of effort for the consumer, and, but they can get something out of it whenever they. Who's breathing? Somebody's like.
Not me. Stop breathing.
Somebody's like heavy breathing. Or maybe we just have solar flares. But anyway, the low level of effort for the user, but a high level of value for the developer. Where if you're passing your word of mouth through social media, those types of things, which are going to bring more people. But yeah, you kind of have to marry that with a little bit of. There has to be some sort of mechanism for either. What's your end goal? Are you trying to make money out of it, or are you trying to just get more exposure and more distribution, that sort of thing? So.
Yeah, I'm very much a neophyte when it comes to the social media aspect of it. I don't know if it's just my age demographic or whatnot, but I'm still not quite clicking with it as far as connecting with customers and other folks.
Most of the time, it's just a matter of needing a purpose. Anytime you find a purpose for it, then like when of course, all this stuff is all brand new and not very old. But in the beginning, it was just cool. But now, you just sort of need a purpose to actually make it meaningful. Anyway, so that's good. Okay, so seven games, 7 days. It's out there. You can download it through your link through Roaming Gamer. Is that linked on Roaming Gamer, or do we?
Actually, I have not put that up on my products page. Now that you mention it.
Okay.
What you can do is put a link on the show, but I will put it up on the templates page.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely link to it in the show notes. So anyway, so I've got the code here, and I downloaded it. I'm looking at it, and I really like the way that you've organized everything because there's 7. You said you thought about making them into individual templates, but decided to put it all into one project. So I thought this was extremely interesting because now you've got all these different games in one game. So I was really curious as to how you were going to structure that and everything, and you seem to kind of compartmentalize everything into individual projects. So kind of talk about the structure of the project, if you would.
Certainly. So like I said, when I developed it, what I first did was develop the first game, and then I used that game as the basis for the subsequent games. So they all have the same general format, which is a Lua module, which has a create and destroy function. And basically just cleans up the whole space when it does the destroy. And so what I did was once I got the 6 games working, is I went back and cleaned up both the creation code and the destroy code to make sure that they were actually clearing out all the memory. And then pasted basically a little simple menu on the front end that had access to those create and destroy functions, and that was it. Corona SDK pretty much took care of the rest.
Yeah, I see here. I've got the project up on. So if you click on my window there, you'll be able to see it full screen. But I see here that you got each project broken into here's the levels for each project. Yeah, and then of course you broke other resources out in like images, sounds.
Right. So each project has a configuration section, which is the graphics specific to the interfaces for that game, because each game has its own editor, and each of the editors has their own little widgets. So the first folder you see is config, and that's basically it's code and assets that are used by SSK, which is the library that I made some time ago. These are used to configure SSK for the interfaces. And then below that, I didn't do a very good job of it, but you'll see follower.levels. You're clicking around there. Follower.levels, gflip, etc. Let's see. I kept the levels in individual folders. I didn't have a chance to go around and consolidate those.
I guess the only other way that could have been done, I guess maybe it would have been call it levels dot and then the name of the game.
Yeah. I should have had a single folder with levels and then the games, because that's how I ended up organizing everything else.
Right.
Was asset type and then specific game subfolder. So.
And of course, this folder here, this idea folder, I'm actually using IntelliJ. So I pulled everything into IntelliJ and was using that, and so that's an extra folder that wasn't there.
I didn't have that idea.
Yeah, you're like, what is that? Yeah, no.
Oh, I'm so smart. I can't even remember what I did there. Okay, yeah.
Okay, and so you
go ahead.
So you use the SSK library?
Oh yeah, I use that exclusively in all my projects.
Okay.
I think I might have said on a previous show, once I've written it, there's no reason not to reuse my code over and over.
Yeah, right.
The sad thing is that I use my code over and over, and I'm continually making refinements, but I often forget to put those back in the main release. So I feel kind of bad about that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. Yeah. So we'll put a link to the show notes, and that way you can go check that out and take a look at it. I think it's worth looking at the code and seeing how it's structured, see how you did everything. I mean, there's some pretty advanced concepts in those games, and so definitely we worth going and getting and picking apart, seeing how you implemented all of that. Okay, so thank you for that. So let's go on. Let's go on and talk about plugins for a moment. So plugins have been in beta testing for a while now. I say a while now. I think maybe like a week and a half, and so we're getting close to releasing plugins. So we're very excited about that. And so here are some of the things that we kind of want to start sharing out for people who aren't necessarily in the beta testing program. So basically, right now, the plugins that are in the part of the beta testing are AdMob, Interactive, OpenUDID for iOS, and then Green Throttle. So if you've had a chance to get into the beta testing program and work with those, then you've had a chance to see those in action. Otherwise,
Charles?
Yeah.
Your camera's still on the code.
Oh, thank you. Let's see. How do I get back to the?
I clicked. There you go.
There we go. Oh, awesome. Thank you. So, okay, and so then we're also working on OpenSSL, Zip, and Ouya. Is it Ouya? Ouya.
Yeah. The console.
Ouya plugins. Yeah, Ouya plugins. And, too much. And then the third-party plugin developers are working on our Sponsor Pay, Carrot, Tap for Tap, Playhaven, Fortumo, and Amazon. So those are, there's just to name a few. Those are the ones that are the third parties are developing the plugin. So we don't really have control over how quickly those come to fruition, but they're in the works, and so that's good. That's a good thing.
And we should probably mention that the plugin features for the Pro and Enterprise only. It's not the starter level. At least that's how I understand it. If I'm wrong, please correct me.
I haven't actually looked at that, but you're probably right.
I'm pretty sure plugins are only available with the Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you're correct.
Okay. So
and of course, Enterprise is built around the whole idea of having plugins and using that.
Right. Yeah. There we go. So on the starter, you've got published to all the app stores with a custom splash.
Okay. And as Christopher just pointed out, there are going to be some plugins for starter, but that the emphasis on plugins is for the Pro and higher.
Yeah, I think I think the discussions that I've been involved in are basically this idea that some of the features of Corona may be provided as a plugin, right? Ultimately, we're trying to get to where everything is a little more modular.
Right.
That way, when we want to add features, we can do that. And when something happens, like let's say, what was that? What was the tracking thing? What was the game leaderboard thing? What was the leaderboard thing like that went away?
Game Feint.
Game Minion?
Open Feint. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's it. Open Feint.
when Open Feint went away, well, there's still code interlocked with the Corona SDK for OpenFaint. So we had to go in and remove that, right? Because it just doesn't exist. It's not like, we didn't want to use it anymore. It just doesn't exist anymore. So now we have to go in and remove the code from the SDK, which is a considerable effort. It takes testing. It's a headache. It takes testing, and now it may
what did it break, and
yeah, exactly, all these things. So making things more modular with plugins means that even if a standard feature is available for Corona, it can be made available as a plugin. That way, if we ever need to pull it out, like something like OpenFaint goes away, then it's just easier just to remove. That said, there are going to be some plugins that will be available only to pro subscribers and things like that. They're going to be more server-side plugins, things that are made available by third parties and that kind of stuff. And those will be the ones that are probably be more pro-centric. And we want to encourage people to go pro. So makes sense, right?
That does kind of pay the paycheck. So
it kind of keeps the lights on and stuff like that. So that's good. But anyway, so that's all coming. The beta testing is still in full swing at the moment, and we're still getting applications for beta testing, which is good. And if you want to become a beta tester, you can go to coronalabs.com/beta, I believe is the link, and it will take you to a form to sign up as a beta tester. Let me just double check that while we're talking about it. But yeah. Okay, so that's good news. Up next is a little bit of analytic talk. We talked about this morning about older apps. Now, Matthew, this might actually apply to you because I think you were talking about this on one of the last Hangouts. But some older apps are not getting analytics, and I think that might have been the case for you. Basically, there was an issue. We found it. We have the data, and we should be able to restore it to users soon. So we're working on that. Matthew, does that sound good to you?
It sounds good to me. It wasn't me, though. It was one of the other guys in the Hangout. I just concurred with him that it was still blank.
Oh,
okay.
It
was like a...
Oh, I know what it was.
It was after it came back. There was a hole.
It was Jay.
There was a hole in the session.
Yeah, it was Jay.
Yeah.
Jay was the one who mentioned that. Okay, awesome. Well, I just, you stood next to him, so I just
But you were not wrong.
I was not wrong. I was only... Okay, so before we get to the YouTube portion, the YouTube app promotion portion, hey, I want to, Richard, give us a little bit of a snippet about App Developer Magazine. Tell us what's going on there, because I know you just launched your inaugural issue, right?
We did. We're very excited about it. It's a publication dedicated to app developers, and there's really nothing else like it in the industry. I don't want to get into the dog and pony show of everything the magazine is and what it means to the industry, but the first issue was launched on the website last Thursday, and it's just chock full of information. It's 80 pages. It's available online through our website. Our mobile app's coming. And the print issue is actually mailing out this afternoon. Well, it's going to the press this afternoon, and then according to their schedule, I think later on this week is when everything gets bulk mailed and shipped out. So, yeah, I mean, we're just super excited about it. We're already working on content for our July issue. We've got all kinds of contributions just pouring in from everyone in the industry, and just had an outpouring of support for it. So. We're just super excited about it. It's a little overwhelming, to say the least, because there's so much going on in so many different areas, and to capture it all in a monthly snapshot is sort of my job, and to field all of the contributions and the content and all of the just chatter that's going on, and make it make sense in a monthly publication. Is part of what I do, and it's really opened my eyes as an app developer that's been in this for years now, to see and communicate with all of these different people and all of the different solutions and services that I never knew existed until I started being the editor of the magazine, and everyone just started writing in, have you heard about this, or we'd love to write an article about that, and the more I dug into it, this started last August in 2012 is when we really started to drive the the focus of the magazine and what it was going to be. But the more that I dug into that, the more I realized how much I didn't know. So to be where we're at today is just really exciting because we're putting our footprint down and just saying we're here to stay. We're going to be providing content that app developers can look at and be able to use it, not as necessarily just news that crosses their email like TechCrunch would or Engadget and just kind of gets shuffled to the bottom, but it's going to be in print and available on all these other sources, and it's something that the developer can look at as a tool. Is what we really want to galvanize ourselves to be, to where I saw this in App Developer Magazine. I've never heard of it before. I've investigated it, and I would really like to try this out in my app development or my marketing. And our first issue, interestingly enough, contains one little snippet about Corona. In one of our feature articles, it's all about cross-platform development, and there are so many tools you could use, and each one is different in itself. We mentioned Corona there, and of course give it as many accolades as we can because we and myself are big Corona fans. And then we wrote an article about getting started in Corona because there's a lot of developers. Let me first say there's a lot of developers that use Corona, but there's also a lot of developers that, like everything, poke at it with a 10-foot stick and kind of think, well, what is this and what's it about and how can I get started and then what's the process? And so we wrote, I think it's a 2,000 or 2,500 word article about just kind of the introduction into Corona. We used one of the sample files that are available in the example code when you download the SDK and just kind of walk through it and explain a little bit about not just Corona, but Lua, which is a growing trend among developers, but there's still a lot of developers that are using native Android or Objective-C or any other flavor of language. And Lua is just one of those that sits off to the side. And so we kind of mentioned a little bit about the Lua structure. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a little bit about what we're up to with the magazine. We're really excited. We'd love to have everybody join us. If anyone can hear what I'm saying right now on May 6th, is it the 6th now?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you subscribe, there's still a 50% off coupon on the website. But the cool thing is, if you subscribe before midnight tonight, you will still get a copy of the inaugural issue because all of our mailing lists go out later on this evening. And once the printer gets them, then that's it. I mean, you can still order the back issue, June of 2013. But if you subscribe between now and midnight Central Time, you'll get mailed a printed copy starting at the end of this week. So.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll tweet that after the show. So let me ask you, I'm curious about this part. Is you have a print component and a digital component. So in this, I don't know, in this age of declining print publications, what made you decide to go print as well as digital?
Well, we get asked that by almost every single person that we talk
right.
to.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not a new question.
It's an obvious question. As an app developer, as a programmer myself, been doing this for years and years, one of the things that stood out to me is that I'm in front of my Mac or my iPad or my iPhone or my Android tablet or, on and on and on, my refrigerator. Everything's got a computer on it. And you never really have the opportunity to sit down with a publication and just read it in print. And one of the things that print is, just so good at doing is it causes the reader to disconnect from anything else around you. And you get to read what's in front of you in words, and you study it and you go through it and you read it again and get behind it and really sort of digest what's being said to you. So we wanted to give developers that opportunity. And it's unorthodox. I mean, in the day that we're in, but it's interesting. With your computer, you get email and you get all these digital messages and all these you can get on the web and you can read things but without the computer you couldn't do that. The same thing with your phone and with your iPad and all your devices. But when you have a magazine, you're holding it in your hand. for one, it becomes very authoritative. I mean, this is print. This is the real deal, and we really wanted to stamp out that we're an authoritative figure in this ecosystem. And the second thing is the medium goes with the platform, so you don't have to have anything to read it. And of course you can read it on an airplane. You can read it in your car without having your device. So that was sort of our thought process behind that. We really wanted to give the developer the opportunity to just unplug from everything. If they want to read it online, they can. It's online. It's going to be on iPhone and the Android and in the Amazon store. But if you want to read it in print, you can order it on print. It's not that much more, and you get a hard copy. And if you're a real nerd like me, you'll save them and put them in a little shelf all their own. And June, July, August, September. So.
Are you going to come out with a box set?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I mean, there's a lot of people that have different magazines all the way back to the 50s.
Yeah.
But we really wanted to do that, and I partnered with a publisher out of Shreveport, Louisiana. He's got another publication, a couple different publications, and it was just a natural process for us to consider the print part of it. And we asked ourselves the very same questions, like, do we want to do this? And when we just sort of did some soul searching, it just made sense. And because we already had the mechanism in place, we chose to do it.
That makes sense. And I would argue that a lot of the news that we hear about are big bloated publications, and I mean, I guess I mean it in a negative way, but I'm just saying, like, when you're trying to cover everything, and everybody is trying to cover everything, then you don't have a lot of value. It's just noise. Right. And so I would imagine that those, it makes sense that those publications would have to scale back when now people can get their noise digitally. They don't need it, they don't need it in print format. But for something like this, where it's so targeted toward a group of people or an industry, it has a lot more value, I think, and makes a lot more sense to make it as a print publication than it does, if you were doing like a newspaper or something like that. I don't know. And also the other thought that I had while you were saying that was that a digital file is good because I can take it with me everywhere, and it doesn't weigh anything, and I can display it on every device. But it can also get lost. It can just be another file on my desktop that I never open. Right? Like I subscribe to something, but it just kind of goes into a folder, and I don't really have time. I don't make time to open it. Whereas if it's a magazine sitting on the coffee table or on the counter, every time I see it, it's a reminder of, right. Oh, hey, and I can open it up and I can flip through it while I eat, or whatever. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, so, it's there forever in a way.
It really is. It is. I mean, there are some people who they sell products strictly based on the fact of the thud factor. You could make it a digital product, but people like tangible things in their hand. And like you say, it is something that's there for the long haul. And there are people who keep those things. I know I got published in Pocket PC magazine way back in the day, and I still have copies of that. Of course, I'm in it, and
exactly. I mean, that's part of the appeal. And you're exactly right. I mean, having something sitting there in front of you that sort of announces itself every time you look at it, you want to pick it up. And I know I've picked this up 10 times, so I'm going to go back to this article. I'm going to go back to this section and read it again and sort of go through it. And and that's the thing that we found out. It's interesting with a lot of developers that have written for us and advertisers in this industry, in the mobile industry. A lot of them are startups. Not all of our advertisers are startup, but there's just startups that we talk to. And then when we tell them that it's going to be in print and we need the ad dimensions like this and we need the DPI like that, it's Greek. It's completely Greek to them because wait a second. What size was the web banner again? How are we going to know what click-throughs we got and those types of things? So it's interesting because we're not that far removed from the giant print industry days, but there are still people that just don't understand the mechanism of print, and our publishers had to help me out even with some of those things because I didn't understand the layout procedures and how things convert from a printed document or I'm sorry, on the screen digital document to a printed page format, and what leads were and those things, and all of the way things lay out in double trucks and all these things. So I've been educated a little bit too, but luckily it's not my entire job to worry about the printing side of things. I'm more in tune with the industry and talking to all of the services, the service providers and the product providers and the leaders of those, and then really drilling down to find developers that are dialed into some particular function or feature or monetization strategy or whatever it is, and exploit those to our readers, because and that's we all want to know. And we don't want, we're trying to get all the developers to come out of the darkness a little bit and just give us the bird's eye view of how you did this, and what you did to pull that off. And we've had a really outstanding response.
From a developer standpoint, it would certainly seem like a great marketing opportunity to be able to write an article. I mean, we see this online all the time, right? It's not a new concept. Write an article and then link it back to your website. So I'm assuming that every author will have some sort of author bio box where they can list their company and how people can contact them, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. And we encourage that, to try to develop that developer chatter, because again, you can get lost in TechCrunch responses using Discuss or whatever, and you can do that with Engadget or just any other developer forum. But when you respond directly to the author of something that's been printed or that's in a publication, even if it's just online, it's just so much more authoritative and targeted, and you tend to field less knee-jerk responses like you would in online forums and that type of thing. So absolutely, all the author information will be on every article.
Okay, well, good point. Good point. Yeah, I never really thought about that. Giving people time to actually think about their response as opposed to just going on and blasting something and not necessarily putting together a good argument. All right, well, so everyone can go to App Developer Magazine, and like Richard said, according today for May 6th, there's still a 50% coupon on there. So if you want to get a subscription to that, go on out and do that, and hopefully we can get you back on the show after you've had a chance to kind of see, after all the dust settles and everything, we can talk more about the magazine and how things are going.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So let's talk about YouTube for a moment. Speaking of changes and things that are going on, YouTube is coming out with a new channel design. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. How many people here use YouTube for marketing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matthew, you don't use YouTube for marketing?
I started to, just slightly. A couple of the apps are listed up there, but not like massive. I have like 3 videos where I had a video showing the partnership with the content creator, and then the actual app showing the app in motion. But beyond that, not much.
Okay, Richard, what about you?
I have in the past. It's very good for just optimization, getting people to recognize you on the web. Because a lot of people don't just search the App Store; they'll actually search on the computer and then offshore it later on. Remember a name that they saw on YouTube, of course, is very search engine optimization friendly. So
yeah, yeah. Well, that's a good point, because a lot of people don't, they maybe see it but don't really think about it, and that's that YouTube videos show up in the Google search results because, of course, Google owns YouTube, and I don't just mean that in like a slang way. I mean they actually own YouTube.
Right.
And so yeah, having your stuff on YouTube is very important to being found in search results, and more people, I think, are using YouTube to find, like you say, information about things. So they go to YouTube to search for, looking for gameplay on a particular product or reviews for a particular product. So YouTube itself has become an important search engine for information about things. So with this new one design, or what they're going to do, one channel design, what they're going to do is try to standardize things across different platforms. So I've actually got an article here. Let me share it in the chat. But it's from Search Engine Watch, and they give some tips on how to optimize your new channel for marketing purposes. And because the creatives that you'll use for your channel are now going to be they'll scale to the phone, the tablet, or the desktop. And so these are the devices that YouTube and Google are trying to target for showing videos, also for getting ad revenue and that sort of thing. So if you guys take a look at that, that's pretty interesting. Now, some of the things that they talk about in that article is that this new channel design is coming in May. It's gonna be rolled out to everybody mid-May, which is not too very long away. And then if you're like some sort of advertiser or somebody with some kind of special connection or some kind of gadget or whatever, then they'll extend that out until June. So everything may not happen exactly at the same time, but for the most people, it's a good idea right now to go ahead and adopt the new design and work at all the kinks, because there are some definite differences from the way the old channel worked and the way the new channel worked. And so let's talk about some of the things that have happened there. Has anybody played with the new one channel? Anybody? No?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I've just started migrating. I'm still working out the kinks and figuring out what's happening.
What things have you run into?
So far, it's been really easy. It's just getting used to the new navigation, and that's been the only slowdown at all. I haven't seen it from the developer or the publisher standpoint. I haven't seen a huge difference. It's mainly in the layout and how it's being broadcast to the end user.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the layout for a second. The biggest change, of course, in that perspective will be what they call the channel art, which will be the header portion, because they actually provide. We'll put a link in the show notes, but they actually provide brand new dimensions for that header graphic, because now they want you to provide it in a format that's really kind of scales for the desktop, and then the tablet, and then of course the mobile device or the phone. So that's one of the biggest changes. And the other thing that's important is that they have subscriber videos and non-subscriber videos. Have you seen this? Have you played with that at all, Brian?
I haven't played with that. No.
So here's how that works. Essentially, before, when somebody came to your channel, you could set your channel up in a variety of different formats. You could make it into they had like a blogger format, and they had like a feed format, and they had all these different kind of like just ways that you could display your videos, and it was pretty static. And if you wanted to, you could create a playlist, and you could control what was there, and that sort of thing. But everybody got the same thing. You could say, now show the feed by default to my subscribers, but that was as much customization as you got. On this new one channel, what you have is you have a place for your video. When you first come to your channel, you have a place for your video, and that video, you can choose a video based on whether that person is a subscriber or not a subscriber. So like if I came to your channel, let's say you've got a brand new app, you're promoting your app. I came to your channel. The first thing that you could show me might be a short introduction to the app, like just how it works, something very brief, just to grab my attention, maybe 30 seconds. A trailer, a trailer, but make it. I mean, we're talking low level of engagement, right? Because that person's not there yet. And then after that, once I'm subscribed, then you could show me a different video where I would be more prepared to sit a little longer and watch that video once I'm already subscribed to your channel. So I think that's an interesting thing that people are going to have to wind up playing with to find the best effect. But some of the channels that are out there, some of the big channels that are out there that are converting, they're actually creating very custom videos just for that non-subscribed person. To talk directly to them.
That's a good idea. That's actually, I'm looking at it right now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just important to understand these things. I mean, none of this stuff is really rocket science. It's just sort of understanding that it's there, and then saying, okay, well, determining how are you going to use it for your app. I don't know how many people. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but video is going to become it, we know it's big, but it's going to become more and more and more part of daily life. And certainly from a marketing standpoint, it's already proven its muscle.
Yes.
And it's just up to us as developers to accept that and to embrace that, I guess is a better word, and actually leverage it to our benefit.
Well, and in regards to that, Charles,
Yeah.
I probably should mention those of us who went to GDC Online for years and years in Austin were very sad to see GDC Online leave Austin. There's a replacement conference coming up in Austin this October called Captivate, and it focuses on the integration of game, film, music, all of those areas and how they are syncing into one channel. And so put that on for those that are interested in film or movies or game development or any of those areas. It's something to put on your plans for, I think it's October 6th through 9th, but it's Captivate Conference. You can do a search for it. But it is coming up, being hosted by IGDA,
Okay.
so coordinated by it. So it's going to be a big deal. And if you're looking for a conference for October, it's a wonderful time to be in Austin, Texas. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree. And I think what we're seeing, what we have to recognize is that developers are beginning to realize they need trailers.
Yes.
If nothing else, they have to have a 30-second to 1-minute trailer. It helps.
Yes.
It helps the consumer make a decision as to what the game is about or what the app is about. It helps news media to feature it and promote it. So those types of things. But when we were at GDC though, I was talking with a video creation company, and they were actually saying it's good to have a trailer, but it's even better to put out content on a regular basis. Which that's not a new concept. I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. But for marketing purposes, it's always been kind of generally accepted that content is king. That on a regular basis, you need to kind of tell the story. You need to get out there and engage with people. But I don't think that app developers necessarily think of that. They just think of, I need a trailer. That's a checkbox. I need a trailer, and I did that check, and then they move on. So YouTube is more than just a distribution platform. It's actually a place to congregate and hang and to build a community around your product. And that's what this one channel is about. In the beginning, YouTube was a distribution channel. It was a place to put your video so that people could watch it. And then later it was so that they could embed it on your site, and so it was just still a distribution platform. Now they're wanting to create this more of this concept of channels. They really want to emphasize channels, and they want to emphasize community, because they're trying to interest advertisers in investing in channels.
Right.
So anyway, that's an important distinction, one that should definitely check it out. Now in that link that I sent out for the search engine watch, and I'll put it in the show notes. Here's 3 things that they talk about. One is they talk about the metadata for your channel. And when we talk about metadata, we're talking about things like your title, the title of the channel, the description of the channel, and things like that. You get 45 characters in your channel description, and so what they recommend is that you make sure that your description is concise, and that it defines what your channel is about, and make sure that if you can put keywords. Again, this goes back to sort of maybe traditional SEO kind of stuff. If you can put keywords into your description, then that will help your ranking, and also will help when someone's searching for something. If they see those keywords represented in the search results, then they'll be more likely to click through and watch the video. So they recommend that, and they also say that it used to be that your listing showed up by your username, and now it's going to show up by your channel. So if you want to do something, if you want to be keyword friendly or more accurately represent what your channel is about, you should do that in the channel title. So that's an important tip. And if you haven't, I don't know, have you guys seen? Do you guys subscribe to Real SEO? REEL SEO.
Mm-mm.
Those guys are fantastic. You should check them out. They put out on a regular, I don't know if it's a daily basis or a weekly basis. I don't really pay that much attention to the regular with the schedule. But on a regular basis, they put out videos that tell you how to be more search engine friendly, or to make your videos more SEO friendly. And then they talk about these types of things, like this channel design change and how you can use it. And they were one of the first people that I heard of talking about playing with the name of your channel. Not just setting it once you made the migration and leaving it, but actually playing with the different phrases, playing with the different words for ranking purposes, and also for user recognition, so that people would know what your channel was about. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing that they talk about here on this article is channel avatar. And with a channel avatar, it's almost like akin to app icons. They say that your channel avatar is going to show up in suggestion. It's going to show up in search, suggestions, and recommendations, and as well as in comments. So your channel avatar needs to pique people's interest, or represent your brand in some way, so that just like your app icon, it's got to be it's got to be a well-designed, well-thought-out piece of art. And one of the things that they talk about that are kind of gotchas is that your avatar can actually be too small or too large. So like you want to see what it looks like at different sizes. So you want to see what it looks like when it's full size, and you want to see what it looks like when it's really tiny. And one of the examples they use in the article is Dior, which looks really great at full size, but then when it gets scrunched down, you can barely read the words on it. It doesn't look as good. And so those types of considerations need to be taken into account. And then they also talk about video metadata and around that. So basically, the title of the video, the description for the video, and then one of the biggest things that they recommend is that you put your keywords first, and save your branding and all that kind of stuff like that for later. So if you wanted to put, like if Corona SDK were the keywords that you wanted to get in there, you might write, depending on the video, you might write something like Corona SDK plugins coming soon. Okay, but if the video wasn't about plugins and you really couldn't fit it in there, right, it really didn't make sense, you might just put Corona SDK at the end, even though it's a brand and keywords. You see what I'm saying? So you want to look at saying, okay, well, what are people going to be searching for, and what is my brand? And you put the brand at the end, because the keywords are more important in this case.
Right. Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. So there's lots of good stuff there. I'm not going to go through the whole article. There's a lot of great information in that article. I'll put it, like I said again, I'll put it in a link in the show notes. But if you haven't had a chance to go check out Real SEO, they're definitely good ones. Some other things, just kind of.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about how to make your promotional or trailer. My first real taste of this was through publishing and not through app development. And I had looked at Amazon's Create Space, and of course they offer a trailer creation service that ranges somewhere between, I think, $1,200 and $3,000 for a 30-second no audio trailer for books. So if you're trying to conceptualize what should my app trailer look like, you might go over to Create Space or one of these other places that create those and look at some of those demos. It's going to depend on what your technological skill and comfort is. This might be something that you do want to put out and allow someone else to create. Generally, when my students are creating film for digital entertainment classes, to just create a 1 or 2 minute project, they're going to be spending a week to 2 weeks creating that. So it is a very time-consuming process to create it. Maybe that $1,200 is spent better having somebody else create the trailer for you.
No, that's a good point. Excellent point. And we've talked
If
to.
you're a programmer, program. That's how you make your money.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. We talked with Aptaman. We had them on the show, and they do trailers and videos for people. And I think when I checked their prices out, they were somewhere in the $600 or $700 price range. And so, but we were talking about a video, like you say, that's really well done. That's
Right.
within 30 seconds, be able to communicate your message. I mean, that's a challenge.
That is yes.
Be able to communicate your message in 30 seconds via video. There's a lot to be said for that. So you're not just paying for.
There's a reason why the men and women on Madison Avenue get paid as much money as they get paid.
Right.
And being able to communicate that commercial spot in 10, 20, 30 seconds takes a lot of talent. And if that's not your strength, then yeah, that's something you should look to elsewhere to have done.
Yeah.
We can all get out iMovie and play with it a little bit, but if you're going for something professional, there is a definite difference between amateur and professional on something like this.
Yeah, I agree definitely. But also realize that there are other resources out there. One good resource is just to tap into the community at large and find out who has done their own trailers and find out if they have time or the inclination to help you. I know YouTubers do this a lot, where they all recognize that they have different skills, and so they then contact each other and say, "Hey, I know how to use After Effects really well, and you seem to be really good at storyboarding and planning. Let's get together and do a video, and then we'll cross promote it on our channels and stuff like that." I know Mo Laird. We've had him on the show, and he made his own trailer, and I thought it was a very engaging trailer, and it's short, it's concise, and it shows off the features of his game. So I think we've talked with several other who have done their own videos. So when you find somebody who's done their own stuff, get in contact with them and see if you guys can work to each other's strengths.
Right.
Yeah, definitely do that. All right. Well, what else have we got going on, guys? What else is going on out there? Matthew, you got anything?
Oh, so much.
Yeah. Brian? You went to San Francisco. Can you talk about that here? What was going on there?
There's a bunch of things that I'm going to be able to announce. We put a lot of things in motion during my visit to Corona Labs that I can probably announce in a week or two.
Okay.
But I don't want to pre-announce it and then it get delayed. I know that's always frustrates people, and I don't blame that a bit. So we do have some exciting things. One thing that I think I can announce is that we are now offering on-site training. I'm going to be the on-site trainer for Corona Labs and go travel to different places and organizations that are wanting to get started with doing app development. David Rangel's the contact for that through the Corona Labs website. We are going to start doing on-site training as allows. So we've already got the first couple set up, and now starting to book for June. So if that's something you're looking for, that's a neat opportunity. And there are a few other things coming to announce very, very soon.
Okay, excellent. Good deal. Anybody else got anything that they want to shout out before we go? We're gonna do the T-shirt winner here in a minute, and then we're gonna kick off. No? All right. So this week's T-shirt winner is Chris Mayer. Chris learned about Corona Geek in the Corona Labs newsletter, and he follows us on Facebook. So thanks, Chris, for supporting the show. And if you would like to chance to win a Corona Labs T-shirt, then all you have to do is follow us on your favorite form of social media, whether that's Twitter, Facebook, Google+, YouTube, whatever. And then go over to coronageek.com/giveaway and fill out the form there, the entry form, and throw your name in the hat. And if we select your name, you'll get a T-shirt. So I'm going to email Chris just after the show is over here and get his size and address, and I'll send it off to him this week. So thanks again, Chris, for supporting the show. All right, guys, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. It's been a great conversation. I've enjoyed it. hopefully next week we didn't get to talk about all the developments around Nook, but I'll post a link in the show notes to that, and hopefully we can next week let's talk about Nook and what their recent changes are going to mean for their platform. All right.
Yes.
Until next week, happy coding.
Wiedersehen.
What'd you say?
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
I'm going international on you.
I didn't know what you said.
Oh, exactly. I see you there, buddy.